Welcome to Rick's Corner, brought to you by Old School Labs, the brand I trust and the only one I put my name to. Use my code drasin12 on the link below.
Welcome to Rick's Corner. The man, the myth, the legend. Now on with the show.
Welcome to Rick's Corner. Today my guest is a man who's won 22 titles, right?
That's it.
Vince Taylor, and he's got some products he wants to show us and talk about. But before we get into that, Vince, I'd like to know a little bit about your training and when you started training. How old were you?
Early ages of training started when I was like 10, 11 years old. I mean, that was just saw Hercules on Three Stooges on TV with Steve Reeves back in the day, and man, I wanted to go outside and lift broomsticks up with buckets of water on each side. So that was the initial bodybuilding, one muscle guy. I want to be that. But actually, training-wise, I didn't really start training until I was 27. Lived in Berlin, Germany.
You know, I remember the broomstick thing. Hold on a second. I remember people put cement in coffee cans with poles, and they would use that for their training. And that's all they had to work with. You know.
In fact, my dad did that. You know, that was when I first saw him out in the backyard. He had he made himself a set of concrete round plates, each balls on each side, and had a bar, and he was using that. Man, that's where I fell in love with the muscle thing. Yeah. Seeing Dad lift that thing up, and one day I wanted to lift that. Snuck out there on Sunday mornings, man, and after that motivation, seeing Hercules and the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
I went out there and tried to lift it.
How did you know what to do? I mean, what did you do for a training program? You just kind of guessed it along the way as you went?
Now, which era? Back when I was just...
Well, let's just say when you were a teen.
Okay. More likely, let me see, in the teenage times when we were doing high school.
Right.
I had a good friend of mine who was actually, I call him Hercules. He had a little knowledge of training and working out. Now, he had that look that I wanted, you know. I'm growing up, I'm seeing him. He's about my age. No, he's younger, actually. But he just had a full pec, man. He had braids, and he had the afro, and we were playing ball. He was big, he was cut, and it just looked so great. And I'm like, I had no afro, I had no muscles, especially no pecs.
Yeah.
And this guy was like, Vince, I'll help you out. And that's how I actually got my first real start with some weight training.
Yeah. Did you train every day or so many days a week, or how'd that work?
Because we were in high school and we were just messing around. I would go do the sports. I did all the sports: basketball, basketball, football, and track. Yeah. And between times it was just like, you know, training for those type of sports. Now, again, this is 71 through 74. So we didn't have there was no big push on athletic training in the little small school I grew up in outside of Baltimore. But it was one of those you pick up as you went. You know, we didn't have any. I wasn't that deep in it, and nobody was really about muscles. It was sport muscle at the time.
Well, not in those days. How about diet? Did you know anything about diet?
Man, Coca-Cola, red meat, and ketchup.
There you go. Spaghetti and meatballs. So when you trained for a while, you must have looked at yourself and said, well, geez, I think I'll enter a contest.
Well, I tell you, my dream, Rick, was after seeing, like I said, when I got involved in it visually, you know, early ages, and I wanted to be, you know, the Black Hercules. Yeah. You know, at the age of 11, 12, I think it was, I wrote Robbie Robinson. You know, I got the magazines. I saw Dave Draper on the covers and the different guys. And I saw Arnold and everybody. And then I saw Robbie, because to me, after watching Hercules and watching all the ladies jump on the chariot and chase the street down, you know, he would go Tarzan and beat up all the black guys and everything. And I'm like, I don't see no black guys with muscles. I want to be the first Black Hercules. That was back then.
That's true.
So that's where it started, man. When I wrote Robbie Robinson and he wrote me back. And one thing I remembered always was the fact that my mother looked over my shoulder and said, God, this guy has great penmanship. Right?
Robbie's a good guy. He knows what he's doing. He can be a bit moody at times with people, but he's always been nice to me and fair to me. And he'll call me at 6 in the morning. We've done several shows, and I hear this message, Rick, it's Robbie. How come you don't call me anymore? Don't you like me? I said, Robbie, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm sleeping, man. Let me wake up first. You know?
I feel you. But he gave me the first tips, and he was like, Vince, train the big muscle groups. I can remember like it was yesterday. Train the big muscle groups, the back, the legs, and if you like the arms, train those arms and chest. Train heavy. I'm like, okay. So that was my goal, but that was only in high school. And I stopped after that.
Okay, what happened after that?
Got into the regular 9th grade. 9th through, like I said, wasn't no interest in bodybuilding anymore. Now it was just interest in just working out because I wanted to use the type of training I was doing to enhance the sport I was in. I got 21-inch calves. So back in high school, I had probably 18 almost. So I was doing calf raises because I wanted to dunk the basketball. I'm 5'7", going on 5'8" at the time, and I'm like, okay, and the calves was growing, and I could get up there. So I saw that correlation. Then I played quarterback for high school for through my high school year as well.
That's a big calf. That's a big calf muscle.
Calves are nice. Calves and arms.
Yeah.
Because I started doing some bicep workout. Arms was growing like crazy. So here's a skinny guy weighing about 155 pounds with about 16-inch arms and almost 18-inch calves. The rest of them a little frail guy. Okay.
Right.
But that's where the training came in on body parts.
Do you feel that you got your best results on training each body part twice a week, 3 times a week, or once a week?
Twice a week. I was always that push-pull guy. Learned it in the workroom in Berlin, Germany, where I was working with the military, not as a soldier. And my friends, I would go to the mess hall with them and talk to them, bodybuilders at the time too. And we got that pumping iron fever, man. We saw the movie. That was us. Pumping iron was our charge, going to the gym every day, singing the song. And of course, it was like, okay, they said on there, push-pull. I adopted push-pull back in 1984, and I use it ever since. That's been my holy grail, push-pull.
Back in the 50s with Steve Reeves and those guys, the gyms were only open 3 days a week, so they'd work everything 3 times a week. But they wouldn't do a lot of sets. They'd do minimal sets, and they made good progress. But 3 times a week when I started was okay. I mean, it worked when you're first starting out, but then I think the twice a week, like you say, is probably the best. You have that rest in between. Now, do you go in every day or do you take days off?
No, I had the fever. I went in 5 days a week, but then at the weekend came around and was like, I'm so much into what I was trying to do. It was fun doing it, and it was, if I don't train, I'll lose a day.
Yeah. So
I just got bit. I used to train that way, started that way 7 days a week. Twice a day, okay, for years.
And so on your body parts, for example, how many sets per body part and how many exercises per? Let's say
I'm a 4-set guy. I've been that way ever since. 4 sets, 10 to 12 reps, depending on the exercise. If I'm doing calf raises, like I said, my calves were developed, so that was the least amount of workout I did on my calves. Maybe once or twice a week.
Did your arms develop easy?
Easy, shapeful, easy. Within the first 1984 is when I started. Met my good friend over there, you know him, John Brown.
Sure.
Oh man, when I met John Brown in Berlin, that was the start of my bodybuilding career, life, and everything. John.
Big John's character. I did some of Wally Boyko's shows with him out in Anaheim when he did some guest posing. He does that thing where he shakes all over.
He was in Berlin where I saw him that night. Accidentally went to the hall and there he was, bodybuilding show. Let me go check it out.
Yeah.
And he was there. I didn't trust me. You're in Germany, you don't know nobody, and here's his big brother coming over here, and I'm like, dang. So we locked up in the locker room, in the hallway actually, and he was out front, man, just signing autographs, talking to ladies, and making money, and had his big bag of German Deutschmarks. He was just signing and put. I'm like, man, it's like, Taylor, you should come and do this, man, make some of this money. I can do it. So I'm like, he said, Smith, what you look like? I said, pulled my shirt up. He said, you got a small waistline. And the first thing he looked at me, he's like, look at those calves. Taylor, those calves, those arms. He said, listen, I'll help you.
Yeah.
If you listen to me, I will help you out. And that's how we got started.
So 4 sets, and your diet consisted of high protein, low carb? Or did you eat a lot of carbs?
Cola, red meat. My diet is the worst, has been. It started out being the worst, but you got to understand, I moved from the USA when I was 20, after I got out of high school and tried college for a year, came back to Maryland, about a good half a year, had a job. My brother was stationed in Germany, in Berlin. I went to visit him for 30 days, fell in love with the place. Went back, cashed in everything in the U.S. and went right back to Germany in '76 and came back in 1989.
Oh boy, you're there a long time.
I was there a long time, but I loved it. You know, so all my training came from the books now.
Yeah.
All my knowledge of eating. I knew nothing. Even today, I ate 3 meals a day, always. I always had my Coca-Cola and my hamburgers, and I would never give that up. And that has been my diet forever. Coca-Cola, red meat, and ketchup.
What about supplements?
Not a big guy on supplements.
No.
I recall, because we had to order everything from the Muscle and Fitness books. It took forever to get to Germany.
Yeah.
Months delayed. The Weeder program products were out, man. I remember the packages and the everything Joe was selling. We were trying to get over in Berlin.
Yeah.
So we finally got some of the stuff, but I was never a big believer in supplements, even to today, even through all my career. Not a supplement taker.
Well, not if you're eating real food. How many days a week do you train now at your age? What are you, 23?
I wish. At this time, I had shut down, to be honest. I shut down about 4 years ago from actual training. I haven't had a systematic training routine going in the last 4 years. I've tried to come back and train a little bit. It's not working. I'm talking about once or twice a week to try to get on a run and start. And I find myself in that position for years now. Try to go out 2 days, this ain't working for me, stop. Try to go back later on, stop. So I can't get started. So I kind of like, you know, I'm not training too much anymore, except for my new type of training now.
But why is that?
Mentally, it's the mental part of it. You know, I look back and ask myself, even now when I try to gear up and do it, it's like, well, you know, you train 7 days a week, twice a day, every day for years. And now when I go to the gym, I don't want to lift the weight. I'm on the bench. I got 25 pounds on each side. It's killing me. Okay. Bodies, I just don't want it.
Yeah.
Mentally, I just don't want to mess with it, to be honest.
It can get to that point. Well, okay,
yeah.
So let's talk about this product that you had and how you came out with this product.
Wow. The Vince Taylor grips starts with the single precision ball grip, which is my beauty. This is the concept ball, and develops itself into the double ball grip, which is the double version of creating the actual normal hand size. So I came up with this after I tore my right tricep, inner tricep hit here, the tendon detachment. And I was training on the gym equipment in the machine, doing some rehab exercises. I had just injured it shortly before the Olympia. And it's like, okay, so I'm rehabbing it. I'm doing your standard everyday triangle shaped handle. You know, where's that bad boy? I keep it. Yeah, here we go. You know, the whole handle grip.
Sure.
So I got that, and I'm just doing the normal exercises as he told me for rehab and tricep extensions, multiple angles. And one day I decided in my conversation with somebody, I had taken his handle off the cable machine and the little ball on the machine, little end of the cable.
Yep.
And I just grabbed it like that. And I had normally grabbed it the normal way.
Wait, let me tell you something. I've done that. I've used that little ball. But the problem with the ball is the cable's in the way because it's away from the hook, and sometimes your hook gets in your hand and it hurts, and it's just not the right size.
Absolutely. Now, I've tried that over the years. I recall that many a time because it first started when I used to try to train with that cable like that is when 2 years after I got visibly started in bodybuilding in Berlin, 84, 85, 86, I tore my bicep tendon, left bicep tendon. Don't know how. I was just getting started. I had just got my legs under me. I was training with John for about a year now, and I'm learning things. I'm feeling good. My body's developing. The show my first show in Berlin that I won the year before I started doing my actual training, the following year, I was like, I'm seeing the gains. So I'm starting to look like something.
Yeah.
I finally got a chance to, when I came back working with John for a year, transatlantic. And, I went back to that show in Berlin. They were like, you going to compete? I said, yeah, I'm back. You need to guest pose. You look great. And that was a shocker. Okay. So take that into consideration. I started going around, people loving the physique. I got an opportunity to do some guest posing. John was going to be there at that same location that night. This would be my first time to show John what I look like as far as what we were doing over a year and a half.
Yeah.
And he was guest posing that night. It was my gig. He just showed up. And I was backstage warming up, man. I had a 5.5 pound dumbbell, and the guys, I can hear it like yesterday. Vince, 2 minutes. Okay, last rep. Boom, boom, boom. Pop. I said, what was that? I heard something like a tearing towel, like a wrist.
Yep.
I looked down, man, this bicep was just wobbling, hanging down.
I've had that happen, I know.
I couldn't believe it. So John looks at me like, Taylor, what's going on? I said, John, what's this? Forearm was black and blue. John said, oh man, Taylor, you tore your bicep. I said, well, can I train tomorrow? He said, oh God, man, geez, Taylor. But didn't stop me. I went on out there and guest posed and did my thing, and and
probably had a higher peak.
I tell you what, it was a jolly one because it was like it had response to it because it tore from the forearm.
Yeah. And
kind of rose up. So I could contract it. It held for me. But I was just happy to be on stage because John was posing. I had a chance to go on stage that night with John and stand by him. But that's when the doctor told me, you're done. I had a friend, he's a surgeon. He was at the event. He was like, we'll get you in the hospital tomorrow. But I'm telling you, Vince, you need to take up swimming because you're done with bodybuilding.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, God. But then he told me after the operation, said, look, if you're going to train, use cables. Okay, don't use the barbell with that power stuff. Use some cables with some reverse reaction on your resistance, because this way you won't put too much power or pressure on that tendon area. And if you put, like you do pull-ups or something like that, you might pull that tendon out of that socket, out of the forearm.
Makes sense.
No more bodybuilding. But then I got the little, he said, do cable curls. And that's why I became a curl cable guy. Strictly cables from 85, 86 on.
Well, my theory is, and I've said this on my show, that cables or bands are just as good because you got the resistance. You're just resisting the muscle, and that's really all it wants.
That's exactly right.
So
that's exactly right.
This thing that you came up with, these balls, let's talk about them.
Yeah, well, you see, the concept what I did was, once I found out when I was talking, and once I put the ball like between my fingers, for some reason I put it between these two fingers like that. Okay. And I did that extension, and when I extended from the rear to the front, I felt the outer head of the tricep contract instantly. Now, your rear head and inner head was like, okay, well, you feel the maximum contraction on the outer head. So it's crazy. I was like, all right, what happens if I put it between the middle finger? And I did the same extension. You feel the resistance shift from the outer the horseshoe to the rear. So it's like, this is crazy. But now the tendon that I had actually, detached and was rehabbing was the inner one here. So when I put it in the pinky finger and did that same boom, instant tendon activation on this muscle right here. And that's what I was trying to rehab. So it was like, this is nuts. So I started doing that exercise, and I got full contraction of the muscle. I was stimulating the muscle beyond because I wasn't doing that fist grip. And that's when I noticed by putting it between the fingers, it seems to isolate the single ball between the tendons in the direction toward that muscle. So I'm thinking, this is perfect. So as an isolation movement of the tricep, I found that I can train the tricep as if I was just normally training it and get more stimulation out of it by going through the finger and directly to that head. So it's like, okay, move it around. I just flipped my hand over and I started doing bicep works. All right, first I had a full fist. I was doing the curl, so okay. Yeah. Some reason I opened my palm up. And when I opened the palm up and let the ball fall in like that and curled that way, it was like, first I couldn't move the weight because it was almost like about 30 pounds on the machine. So I put the weight up, one plate. I did a curl with it, and man, that bicep was just like aching, but it was aching on the outer head of the bicep. I put it between the middle fingers and did the same curling action. I felt the resistance shift to the middle portion of the bicep. It's crazy, Rick. So when you put it between the pinky finger and shift, you feel it on the inner head of the bicep. So it's like,
crazy.
I am redirecting and isolating certain portions of the muscle. I'm not attacking the full muscle with that power grip. And then that kind of got me hooked on it. What was actually happening on the mechanical side, I wasn't dialed into it. I was going purely on the reaction I was getting from certain sections of the muscle.
Sure.
Okay. So I was sticking with my arms only, and I started doing forearm work as well, again. Then it just dawned on me, it's like, Vince, this is what the situation is. When you make a grip, you automatically engage the forearms. That is going to be your assistance to every exercise you do. Your first power load. So if you're training your chest or arm, biceps, or whatever, as soon as you grab them and your forearms contract, power generation there, everything else is pure leverage. So you're working off the power of the forearm. But when you open that hand up and you disengage that forearm and it can't help out, now you put in 95% of that resistance into that muscle that you're actually training. So that's why I became so crazy about, wow, I mean, you can actually stimulate this muscle a lot easier with lighter weight. I can do easier functional motion or range of motion exercises, stress-free exercise, joint relation muscle.
Yeah.
And go ahead on and get a benefit of max stimulation as if I was using 20 and 30 pounds. So the correlation of that, the heavy-duty stuff, the light resistance stuff, is like at the end effect, I'm getting what I want from the lighter stuff.
I like this idea a lot.
Disregard the heavy, but I'm going to use the light to kind of like revamp the diagram of my approach to training that muscle. Then I got smarter with it, Rick, because I'm starting thinking now, even because it's now, this is later, my mindset went from just training. I found some great grips. If I use the single ball precision, I'm telling myself I'm doing isolation training. I'm putting my mindset to tell people that you're going to dial into a certain portion of the bicep. When I have you having the ball between the fingers like that, think of this as driving your car. Your hand is your steering wheel. Now, if you put your fist around that steering wheel, you're driving straight down the road, 100 miles an hour, full power. That's a power grip. Right? Now, if I can tell you, but if you look in front of you, the most highways got different lanes. Okay, yeah, so you can go straight down the middle, the outer, the inner. So you got 3 lanes. Now, here's my lanes right here. I'm feeling the effects by driving down this lane on the inner portion of the bicep. So instantly, I'm utilizing that as an ID point. Okay, so if I go down the outer lane, I'm going to go in the outside bicep on the inside here. If I go down the mid, I'm going down the center. And of course, outside lane on the outside is here. So now I started thinking about affecting the muscle quality, muscle fiber. See, most people get turned on about lifting a lot of weight and getting the full pump. And I'm like, what's going on with the muscle? Okay, you want to try to exchange the internal portion of the muscle. It's my belief that now that I can isolate a certain area, so I take my bicep and I tell people, when you're using my grips, think of this as your streets. You're going down the roads now. You want to stay in the outer, let's say any road section, divide the bicep down into 3 sections. You're in the inner portion, let's go down this outer head of the muscle down, right? We do that. So you know the bicep itself is going to be susceptible and fibers are going to be flush with more blood because of the resistance, and the angle of that elbow is going to cause your muscle contraction on the outer head more so than it would be going straight down with a power grip. Okay, so now I'm influencing that outer portion of the bicep alone. Once you start training in that zone repetitiously, and you stay in there like you're doing reps and range work, you'll notice the quality of the bicep. If the bicep, the skin is thin enough, you see the fibers of the muscle, you'll actually see them reacting, looking like rails. Okay, so you could change the texture, it looks like, of the fiber of the muscle as you actually train it. That's your visual. So I'm like, wow, I could actually see separation and quality streams down, striations down the bicep now by going down and attacking that third of the bicep. And when I move it over, stay in that zone. Move it over, stay in that zone. So yeah, this is great, man. So this is about qualitizing, but it's working under the skin, in the muscle. Let's look at fiber when we train it. So I don't go, and fiber contraction is what I'm looking for, not resistance contraction from using the weight. So mentally, I'm contracting the muscle. Now I got the gateway of fibers lined up. I got blood flow coming through. I get max stimulation because I'm using a lighter weight, and that is creating all the effects I need to stimulate the max on my contraction.
I love this idea. Do you use this in the gym with the machines, or can you use it also with bands?
Machines, bands, machines. I mean, this is basically
doesn't matter, does it?
A cable machine attachment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
My thing was, if people weren't going to look at this on the phase of the precision training, which I said works primarily perfect for the linear muscle, the arm. Okay. So if I'm using, let's see, the forearm muscles, I can, by ranging between the fingers, I'm hitting different forearm muscles as well.
Yeah, I see that.
So look at my motions of movement when you actually training your forearms. And again, everything today is this barbell. The barbell, look, the short barbell or the long barbell, you're still making that fist. We're still engaging. All the muscles going to work simultaneously. There's no restriction. There's no control. But now let's add a control factor. Let's train one of the forearm muscles by putting it into the right zone. And that is perfect. That, you see, because now you put yourself in control of your training. You are controlling the resistance into that muscle to make that a better contraction, which at the end run is what we want.
And you'll get a lot more out of doing less.
And that's exactly right. And the problem is, you get instant effect from it. And most of the time, people are looking at you like, oh my gosh, well, what are you doing with that lightweight? That's not going to work. Go heavy or go home. Okay, well, try this 5-pound curl I'm going to put you on and see what happens.
When people buy this, does it come with an instructions of different exercises you can do with it?
On my website, I do have a demonstration video section.
I saw that.
Okay.
I saw that.
In the package itself, which basically I do not have the instruction package in there because I cannot I'm not reinventing the exercises, because technically all you're going to get the full grip loads or singles that they order, the resistance bands, and this cool black mesh pouch to go with, lightweight resistance travel pouch.
No, it's great. It's great. I saw your website. I'm going to post this on our show so they can see where it's all at. And they can order direct from the site, right?
That's exactly right.
I like this idea a lot, Vince. I think you stumbled onto something really, really good. I'm really impressed.
Man, I'm glad to hear that, because I look at this as boundary-less, okay? And the reason I say that is because I look at the things that I'm allowed to do with just the transition of the triangular shape versus the ball shape.
Yeah.
For hand controls. A lot of people, for example, can't even make a fist. They can't even go to the gym. They can't work out because they can't grip the ball.
I know.
Okay.
I have carpal tunnel, so my fingers are kind of numb, and I'm missing a little finger that fell off somewhere outside in the rain. No, but I am missing a little finger. Sometimes I'll take the bar in the gym, like the straight bar, and there's one in the gym that has 2 balls on the end of the bar. And rather than hold the bar to curl, I'll hold the balls to curl the bar. And I get much more out of it.
There you go.
I mean, it's not the same, but it is the same in some regards.
It is the same, and exactly right, man. Because I find out that once you have that normal, natural hand drop, your hand drops in this look right there. And like I said, if you do have any kind of hand problem, it's going to keep you from doing any kind of physical work, carrying anything, doing all kinds of things. You just drop those grips right there. They fit right there, and you hold them in the finger fold. You're making a claw.
Oh, so now you're using double balls.
Never gripping.
I love this. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
So when I do attach them to exercise bands, when I have, for example, one of my major pluses, I tell you, Rick, is when I'm doing some shoulder work with elderly and all people who just got some rehabilitation shoulder problems. Yeah. You got the triangle shape. Here's something I'm going to show you, man. You got the triangle shape handle. You lock in. Now, through this discussion, we already realized as soon as you lock, let's say you're training your shoulders, they give you this one wind out exercise, right? Yeah. So you lock in. The first thing you do when you lock in is you create power in the forearm, okay? Because you hold the grip. You got an injury up here, or you're not. Let's say you're injured, you're rehabbing. Power is here, and once you lock in, you got to leverage that power some way to signal that resistance to come upstairs. So you're tucking that elbow into your side, okay? So now you're winding it out, and all that force, the forearm is kicking off. But here's the muscle you're trying to train. What happens with this grip, as we said, once we release the forearm, okay, and then I have the single ball action here, you're holding the ball just like that. So there's no forearm activation, or very little, and you do the exact same wind out. There's no resistance anywhere below the elbow. It's all in the shoulder.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. You got orthopedists are looking at this going like, this is crazy. I said, well, because you're not utilizing that extra strength. Isolation.
Well, you're going to sell a lot of these, I'll tell you that. I'm so happy that we hooked up and we're able to talk about it, because I think it's really a good product.
I appreciate it.
I really do. And I'm going to put this out. I'm going to edit this thing together today and put it out tonight, so it'll be out tomorrow for everybody to see. Yeah. And then you'll be making some money, and you can buy yourself a wig.
I know. I certainly use the money part first.
I'm kidding,
but here's
of course.
The thing.
Yes.
One of the big things that I'm trying to get people to see, the grips, they are, if you're not utilizing them for, like I said, the precision portion of it, saying that you can go in, and I'm telling guys, I said, listen, I've been training biceps all my life. I know how to train biceps. I'm not training the way you are. I'm giving you a different thought pattern. Let's train the muscle. Let's not train the resistance. Because all you do right now in bicep training, you keep the same grip, which is, your triangle-shaped handle. You keep that handle in there, and all you do is change weights. Yeah. You do a hammer curl from time to time. Yeah. But when I'm telling you, you can influence the belly of the muscle, the thing that you're actually training, re-stimulate muscle fiber, okay, from a different type of resistance rather than brute force and repetitive force. Thin it down, isolate it, contracted in certain areas and certain zones as regularly as you like, because you're utilizing a lighter weight that you don't have to worry about that injury effect. You're not overtraining, you're just working the muscle. Because this is what's going to give you that quality.
Yeah, I've told people over the years when they're doing dumbbell, let's just say dumbbell curls for an example, there's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 different wrist positions with your hand that you can do your curls with that work your biceps differently. And I mean, the bicep does work up and down, but you can do hammers, or you can turn it way out, or you can do it with your palm down, and it does change the angle and it changes the feeling of the bicep. So this is the same sort of principle that you can do with the balls.
Now here's the last thing I'll tell you before we roll. I got people with tendinitis.
Yeah.
I call these the tendinitis busters. Okay, and a simple concept: tendinitis, overactivation of the tendon going down into that forearm area. Okay, so now why does it go down there? Because as soon as you make that fist, when you grab that bar or a tennis racket, baseball, you get that type of resistance down here, and that work going on down inside that tendon.
You can see it.
There it is. So what happens when you use my grips? I'm not asking you to get that intensity down in here, because when you use the Vince Taylor grips, the same exercise you can do, you can still hit the baseball. The thing about it is the palm is open. It doesn't have this grip like this.
Right.
The palm is open. What happens? There it is. You reduce that friction down here and all that contraction and tension. Totally. And you are allowed to train, because you don't have to worry about that brachialysis tightening up and hardening up. And many people start training to get that pain in that forearm. It's like because you're over flexing, you're over tightening, you're over squeezing. That's not here. Don't over squeeze. Leave it open. You don't have to worry about engaging that tendon down deep where it gets all the work going. You're just going to have to let it go, and you can still do the exercise, curling, any exercise you want to. So as a grip, they come in 3 different sizes: small, medium, and large. Okay, as you know, small, medium, and large for the ladies, because I'm telling you, look, you don't need to be grabbing that bar no more.
Yeah.
Okay? I want you to make sure your manicure stays in touch, because you're never going to make a fist. You're going to do the same workout. You're going to do the same exercise. You're just going to do it with your fingers out like that. Yeah. They're beautiful. They're lightweight. They match your training outfit you have on for the day. Put a little style in you, man.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, if I have a set of those and I'm in the gym and some lady says, "Can I work in?" I said, "Yes, you could use my balls."
I tell you what, I'm going to send you a set tomorrow. How's that?
All right, brother. Listen, I'm going to get this done and edit, put it up for you, and please let me know how it goes for you.
Absolutely.
We'll put a nice, well, this is like an infomercial. This is just so good. I'm so happy for you. You have no idea. We've never met in person or face-to-face, but now that we have, I'm glad you're a part of my show, and I'm sure this will help you immensely, and I want to see you have a really, really good 2019.
Thank you, my brother. I really appreciate it. Give me your address when you sign off. Text me your address.
Okay.
So I can send you these, man. You got to have them, to feel them, to utilize them. Because when you do it, you're gonna be talking about it online. That's a no.
And I will be. And I'm going to actually put the picture of your website on this show, but I'm also going to put it on my opening and closing.
Okay.
That way you're there all the time.
Sounds like a winner.
You'll never leave my side, Vince.
Hey, 2019? I'm glad we met.
Well, you know,
must be my guy.
Everything happens for a reason. And I started off the year right, and this is another part of my year that's right. And it's helping you, and it helps me, and it helps to have people like you who want to get on and talk about stuff, because obviously you're very smart at what you do, and it just lends itself to a good show, a good discussion.
It's fantastic. So, the first of many. How's that?
Yes, you got it. Whatever you want to do. We'll find some other things to talk about.
You got it, my friend.
Thanks, Vince. And I'll take care of this now. Thank you guys for watching Rick's Corner. Stay tuned for more. It's been wonderful having Vince Taylor. He's an awesome guy, and he's got a long future way ahead of him. According to me, in my future, I had a wonderful future behind me, like Willie Nelson says. I'm still going. All right, Vince. See you next time.
You got it, buddy. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed the video brought to you by Old School Labs. Use my discount code DRASIN12 on the link below at oldschoollabs.com. Hey everyone, now you can have the Gold's Gym logo drawn by me, the artist Rick Drasin, personalized and made out to you and signed by me to frame and put on your gym wall or wherever you see fit to do so. It's a piece of bodybuilding history. It will never be duplicated again. It's the largest selling icon t-shirt logo in the world, and I'm the guy that drew it, and I will draw it for you. Just go to my website, rickdrasin.com, and order there. You can pay through PayPal, and it'll be sent out right away. And be sure to watch Rick's Corner for all the videos on bodybuilding, nutrition, fitness, pro wrestling, and anything that suits your interest as far as getting physically fit and being the best you can be from the golden era of bodybuilding.
Rick Drasin. He's the equalizer, baby. See you next time.